What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand to Table podcast. I'm your host, Henry Kaminski Jr., your go-to for branding and marketing for restaurants. And we're going to talk about social media, influencer marketing today, the do's, the don'ts, and one particular experience that I saw this week that is a huge no-no when it comes to connecting and leveraging influencers to market your restaurant. I always promise that I will never name names to protect the dumb and stupid. But today, guys, I have to highlight this because this was just wrong on so many different levels. So I've been following this restaurant for quite some time, and I could tell they have no idea what they're doing when it comes to marketing, just because of the antics that they're showcasing on social media. And, you know, if you ever see one of your team members or somebody that you hire to handle your social media doing this stuff on your account, fire them on the spot, because this is just how you get a bad reputation in the industry right out of the gate and never, ever get people wanting to work with you and help you market your restaurant. I'm scrolling through my feed this week, and this particular restaurant's post shows up, and I'm looking at the comments, and I noticed that the restaurant account is commenting on their own post but tagging all of these influencers in individual comments underneath the post, like, hey, when are you gonna come in and hang out? Hey, when are you gonna stop by and visit us? And they did this same call out like 20 different influencers in the comments. Now, if I was an influencer and I got tagged in this and I hit the comments and I looked and I saw that the restaurant was just spamming all of these other influencers, I'd be like, I am never working with this restaurant if it was the last restaurant in the area to go to. And I just don't understand the logic or the strategy behind that attempt to try to get influencers to come in and feature their restaurants. And these are some big names in the influencer world that I noticed were being tagged. I know a couple of them personally, and I don't want to name names here, but I know for a fact that being approached that way completely got them to look differently at that restaurant, but also be like, I'm never gonna work with this restaurant in my life because of they look so desperate. I mean, basically what this restaurant was doing was just like whoring themselves out to all of these different influencers to try to get somebody to bite and see if they would come in and feature the restaurant. And, you know, in my opinion, if you're reaching out to an influencer, you kind of want to set the tone for them when they come in, so that they kind of feel like the red carpet's being rolled out for them. And, you know, they want to feel special. They want to feel seen. They want to feel, and this should be part of your hospitality, you know, from day one, not just for influencers, but for any guest, right? So I'm watching this go down, and I'm just saying to myself, this is the worst approach that I probably have ever seen in 16 years of doing this stuff for restaurants. And I just was like, I have to make an episode about this because I don't want restaurants thinking that this is a good idea to reach out to influencers to try to get them in your spot. Now, how do you approach influencers? And there's a lot of different ways you can reach out to influencers. And I'm going to give you a few ways today. But again, let's stay away from what I just described, because that is not going to get you any collaboration, any partnership that's worth anything, because the influencers are just going to turn the other way and be like, stop spamming me. So one of the approaches that I do is when I reach out to influencers, it's always an individual approach. It's a DM only to them. I'm not mass texting anybody. I'm not mass DMing anybody. It's an individual reach out on a DM, and I tell them, hey, listen, I love the content that you're putting out. I love the way that you showcase and highlight different restaurants in the area. Was wondering if you had some bandwidth to come check us out. Not sure how you work, but would love to get some more information on that to see if it'd be a good fit for us to collaborate with you on a post or a reel or some sort of feature. Then I just chill and I wait. They either respond back, no, we're booked, or no, we don't do this anymore, or I would love to, but we're like 3 months out, or this sounds amazing. Let me send you my rate sheet and we could go from there. And now you have something to play with, you have something to work off of, and now you can say, okay, maybe it's a little too rich for my budget, or maybe there's some other ways we could collaborate. The way I typically collaborate with folks is if it's an influencer that has proven a track record of engagement and viewership and follower engagement and things like that, I am not opposed to paying the fee for that particular influencer. But if it's an influencer on the smaller scale, let's say anywhere from like 5,000 to 8,000 followers, which is a great followership, by the way. I'm telling you right now, you probably heard me say this again in the past, but just because they have a lot of followers, that doesn't mean that they're a rich influencer. You know what I mean? When I say rich, I mean like it's going to have a massive impact when you collab with them. I've collabed with influencers that have 5,000 followers and we get tons of engagement and tons of real followers back from those smaller accounts. So I would highly recommend you do not isolate those folks or disregard those folks just because they have a smaller account. The other thing that I want to point out when you're reaching out to influencers is that voice messaging works for me personally a hell of a lot better than typing it out. Why? Because they can hear the inflection and the passion in my voice, and they can hear my excitement, and it just brings in another vibe that you can't just do in a text message, right? Or a text DM. So if you have that feature available and you can voice message these folks, I highly recommend you voice message them, because I think you'll get a better response, quite frankly, because I've always gotten a response, a very positive one too, when I send out voice messages. So that's just a little pro tip there that I highly recommend you do if you have the capabilities of doing it. So that's one way. The other way I want to talk about real quick is negotiating with influencers. Just because they charge doesn't necessarily mean they won't work with you on a different pay scale or a different pay method, right? A lot of the influencers that we work with in the restaurants that I'm working with is through food. So what we do is we focus on that approach first. And a lot of times the influencer's like, yeah, this sounds great, especially if it's a higher end space. They seem to really enjoy that and value that over a dollar transaction, right? We've paid other influencers too that have worked, and we've paid other influencers that haven't worked, right? So it's just a matter of coming in with an initial strategy, not just going willy-nilly with it, and having sort of an expectation of outcome before you even partner with these influencers, because it's very important to kind of explain to them exactly what you're looking for. So if you have a lunch, a special or promotion that you want to highlight, make sure that you communicate with them up front about that so they can highlight that when they go to put the reel together or the content together for your restaurant. So make sure you come organized, come prepared before you reach out to any influencers, because they're going to ask you questions. The other approach that I don't think a lot of restaurant owners are leveraging, because I don't see it, especially with the restaurants that I've worked with. When I explain this to them, their eyes kind of widen and they're like, oh, I didn't even know that approach was valid. Listen, I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been marketing and branding restaurants for over 16 years. And one of the things that is extremely important in my business is to showcase the value that I deliver and be able to measure that and validate that value that I bring with the services that I provide. And so when you're working with an influencer, how do you measure their collaboration in value? And I was talking to a chef recently and he's like, oh, social media is hard, man. Like, how do you measure the success rate of a collaboration post? Well, it's kind of easy if you know how to use the tools, right? One of the ways that I think is underutilized is the performance-based collaboration. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say we bring on influencer A and we say, listen, we're going to comp your food, but here's what we'll do as a performance-based collaboration. We will give you a promo code that has perhaps your name or something simple, right? And we'll program that promo code into our POS system. You could do this for pretty much any POS system, right? And for every person that books a reservation through the promo code, we'll pay you $5, $10, $15, $20, whatever you think that the value is appropriate. And at the end of the month, we will tally up our promo codes inside of our POS, and that's how we'll pay you out. I don't think enough restaurants are leveraging that. If they are confident in their skill, they're confident in their audience, they're confident in what they are providing for you, I would jump on that all day long. This approach will either humble the hell out of them or get them excited. So when I'm working with restaurants, I always tell them influencer marketing is a great way to channel new guests and get the word out there, right? But you have to pick the right ones. And a lot of restaurants that I work with for the first time, I share with them, listen, I have a Rolodex of influencers that I work with that will help you tremendously. And they're vetted. I've used them multiple times in different restaurants, and they've all proven great professionalism and great return on the partnership. So that is a highlight of working with me and also working with the influencers that I've vetted over the past couple years. It's just been a huge, huge benefit, because I think a lot of people think that everything is in the pretty video that you make or the nice photography that you get created for your restaurant, but there's a lot more personality that needs to go into your marketing and different points of view. So if you can work with an influencer, and it doesn't mean you only have to work with them once. I know a couple restaurants we work with, we have the influencer come back on a quarterly basis, and we really start to build that relationship with them, and it's been working fantastic. So with all this said, guys, I want you to avoid like the plague what I mentioned earlier in this episode and how not to reach out to influencers, because that's not the way you do business, and that's not the way that influencers are going to want to partner with you. Focus on some of the ways that I mentioned that could really help you create stronger relationships with local influencers in your area and get them excited to want to work with you, because it is a phenomenal way to increase awareness for your restaurant. It's just how you go about doing it. Think about all of the things I said today, and what's the one that you can execute today? Just one. Don't worry about trying to do this with 50 influencers right out of the gate. Pick one or two, spend some time, do your homework, find one or two that you think will be a good fit for what it is that you want them to do, and give it a shot. Because I can promise you, if you take the time to do your homework up front, you're going to reap a lot better results on the back end of this approach of marketing your restaurant. Again, guys, if you need help with marketing and branding your restaurant, let me know. This is what we do every single day. We love it. It's our passion. We've been doing it for a long time for restaurants like you in the local area, and would love to sit down with you and see how we can map out a marketing system for you that's really going to drive new business, repeat business, and get that revenue up to where you want it to be. So make sure you reach out. There's a link below in the description that could get you on a call with me, and we could sit down and map it out for you. So have an amazing day, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this episode with somebody that is going to get value out of it. And I'll catch you on the next episode real soon. Take care.